Rahul, sorry, there is some disturbance, background noises. Can you please check that?
Yeah. Actually, the birds are chirping. I don't know a way to drive them away. So it's outside. It's a bit. I can hear that as well. Okay, so for the last poll that we did, we see that 88% of the people haven't heard about Tableau, and there are only 13% of the people that have actually heard about Tableau. Okay, so I'll start this session with a brief introduction about Tableau. What is Tableau, and what have we covered in the last session, and what we are about to cover in the session today. So for all those people out there who haven't heard much about Tableau, so Tableau is essentially a BI reporting tool which is used to generate reports, automate report, and to create effective visualization that can actually give proper insight to people. So most of the organizations are using Tableau these days for the BI reporting. Okay, so that was a brief thing about Tableau. So in the last session, that was an introductory session. We discussed about what exactly is data visualization, and why do we why do we need to have data visualization, and who are the people who should take this Tableau course, and what was the agenda of a course. So in today's session, which is the second session, we'll be discussing uh, more of more of on the application. So what I'll do, I'll open the Tableau application in front of you, and we'll try to be familiarize ourselves with the application and see what are the different parts in the application, what are the options that are available in the application, how do you drag in files into Tableau and all the stuff. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just open Tableau application over here. So this is what you can see over here. This is what Tableau actually looks like. So this thing, what you can see over here, is actually a licensed version of Tableau. So you have two things. The first thing is that you can either have a licensed version of Tableau, and the second thing is that you can have a Tableau public version. So the Tableau public version is a free version that is. So I'll be sharing the link towards the end of the session from wherein you can download the Tableau public application, and along with the training that we are doing, you can actually have a hands-on on Tableau also. So the thing that you see over here is the Tableau application, and since it's a licensed version, so you have features that are not present in the public version. So our training that we'll be doing will be doing most of it through the public version. So I've just opened this thing just to show you what are the things that are available in Tableau. Okay, so coming to the start page, what you can see, this is the start page of the application, and it's basically divided into three parts. The first area that,
Uh,
yeah, Lalit.
Rahul, hi, Rahul, Karthik here. Your screen is still frozen to the first slide, day one demo session. I
Okay, is
think,
it? Okay.
yes.
Uh, is it visible now?
I'm still at your PowerPoint. Yes, now we can. Now we can see the application.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Karthik. Okay. Okay,
Uh,
so because of some reason the application wasn't showing, my screen wasn't able to, I was not able to share the screen. So yeah. So this is what a Tableau application looks like exactly. And the thing that you're seeing over here is a licensed version of Tableau, as I said earlier. So this is the application launch page, and this is basically divided into three parts. The first part in the left you can see is the connect pane. In the middle you have something called as the open pane, and towards the right you have something called the discover pane. So we'll be looking into each of these individually and see what they are used for actually. So the connect pane is actually used to connect the data. So over here you can see that you can connect your data. Your data basically can be a flat file, that could be a Microsoft Excel file or a text file or a JSON file or an Access file, any of these, or it could be stored on a server. So you see over here, you can actually connect your data through different Tableau server, MySQL, Oracle, Web Data Connector, and if you go on more, you have all the list of servers that you can connect to Tableau, and then you can use the server to extract data. So the only difference when that you'll be seeing in the Tableau public version that you people would download and then be using is that these options, like in the licensed versions, you have all these options for data connections. But in Tableau public, since it's an unlicensed, it's a free version, we'll just have a couple of these, not all of these. Okay. So towards the bottom of the left pane, what you can see is you already have some saved data source that are available. So anytime you download Tableau, what happens? Tableau provides you with a list of sample data sets, so that you can actually play on with the data and then start learning Tableau. So it generally provides these two data sets: the sample superstore and the world indicators. This is the data sample superstore that we'll be using much in the coming session to understand and learn Tableau. So coming to the middle pane, what you can see over here is there's something called as open. So if you're using Tableau for the very first time, so this entire area that you see over here, it will be blank. You can see these area to be filled over here only because I have been using Tableau Public, and I have created these workbooks using Tableau Public. So these are coming onto my screen. So if you go ahead and use Tableau and you create different workbooks, so what would happen? The workbook that you have created would come on this pane. And then, so if you are a complete beginner and haven't created any workbook, this page would be blank. However, you can see these three workbook over there. So these are the sample workbook. So there's a superstore workbook, there's a regional workbook, and there's a world indicator workbook. So coming to the right pane, the right pane basically contains the link. So what you can see, you have something called as a training get started, connecting to data, visual analytics. So what Tableau does, so for everything, it has a short video. Tableau provides you with a short video, so through which you can actually get to know how do you connect to the data, how do you understand Tableau. So it's not a long video. These videos are not long. They would be around 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes training videos basically. When you come down, you see something called as the Viz of the Week. So this is basically what Tableau does. People all over the world keep on using Tableau. So every week Tableau selects a visualization that it showcases as the visualization of the week, and when you click on this link, you are directed to the visualization that is for that week. Okay, so this is the launch page of the application. Now what happens, the second thing is that when you connect data, you are taken to a complete data to a data source page. So let's try connecting a data. I'll use the so I'll show you how do you connect a Microsoft Excel file. So if you need to connect a Microsoft Excel file, what you need to do is click on Microsoft Excel, and then it will take you to all the, from the location you need to drag your file over here, and then you can click on the file. So I'll be using a inbuilt file for this demo, that is the sample superstore. So as you see, when you click on the file, you get a pop that shows the processing request and your data is loaded. So once your file is loaded into Tableau, the first thing that you see is the data source page. Okay. So now this data source page that you see over here is divided into again four areas. The first area that we have is the left pane again. This side, this is the left pane. This second area that you have, it's called the canvas area, where you can drag and drop the data sets. What I'll do, I'll remove this data set also from this so that you can have understand this better. Then you have a preview pane over here that gives you a snapshot of the data that you are viewing actually. And then there's something called as a metadata grid. So let's see what all these panes means individually. So my Excel file that I connected to Tableau had 3 tabs. So there was an order tab in that, there was a people tab in that, and there was a return tab in that. So you can see all these tabs listed over here. So to select any tab, let's say you want to select sheet 1, that is the orders sheet. What you do is you simply click this click this and drag it to the canvas area. So like you see, so once you drag it to the canvas area, you can see a snapshot of the data that you have. So at the top you have what are the column names, and then you have the column. So for example, the row for row 1, this order ID on this order date, the following product was shipped using a second class shipment mode, and then you have a customer ID, customer name, and all those stuff with the data. So the left pane displays the data that we are connected. So it displays we are connected to the sample superstore data. Like you see, although you are connected to a sample superstore, you can in fact go on adding data sets and that, and then you can perform joins that we'll see in the later session how we perform a join in a data set. So like I said, this contains and displays the data that we have connected to. Just below the bottom of the left pane, we can see the list of the data source that list of the tables that our data source contains. So in our case, the data source contains 3 tables, so we are able to see these 3. This canvas area that I'm talking about, this is the area where we can drag and drop the tables that we want to work on and perform joins if necessary. So let's say if we have the order table over here, and we would like to join this order table with a second table that is a people table. So just for an introduction, I'll be showing you how do we do join in Tableau. So, but then we definitely will be having a session where we'll be covering joins in a much more interactive way, wherein we'll understand what are the different types of join, what do they mean, and when do you create them. So see, once you drag another table, Tableau, what it does, it automatically identifies the uh, column on which it joins. So over here, when you click on this, you can see that Tableau has performed the inner join, and it has joined both the data source on the region field. So in this orders, you have a region field, and then in people, you have a region field. So it took that field and it performed the join. So you can change the join that is being performed to a left join, right join, or full outer. So as I said, we'll be discussing these in details when we cover the topic join in our coming session. So let's remove this data set and simply work with, yeah. So now the third area that I was talking is the metadata area. So this area that you see over here is the metadata area. The metadata area displays the field as rows to quickly examine the structure of your data. So once you click on over here, what you see is a list of all the column names. So, and it shows you what is the column name, what is the field name, and from which table it has come. So for example, let's say the shipment mode. Now it tells you that the shipment mode has come from the orders table that we are looking over here, and just in front of every column, you see there are different symbols. So in front of row ID, you have a hash symbol, you have a character symbol in front of order ID, you have a date symbol in front of order date. So these are the different type of data types that Tableau supports. So the data types that Tableau supports, will again have a session for that, wherein we'll be seeing which all data types are supported, like a numeric data, logical data, then you have a date data. So we'll have a session on that also. Over here you can see, when you click on the metadata grid, you can see all the columns that you have in the data set, and then from which table they are and which are the remote field. And over here what you can do is actually edit these table also, that column name also. So for example, if you want to edit the order ID column, you just double click on it and you make the proper edit, and then you click back. So this would be so let's say if you want to rename it to order ID new, so you can do it from here itself, and then you have the column name change. So when you so this is the metadata grid that gives you overall picture of your data. Then coming back, so the final thing was the preview pane. So the pane just gives a quick snapshot of the data, and again it also allows some general modification to our data. Like for example, if you wanted to change the column name, so you could do it from here also. You need to double click on it and then click on the change name. Or if you want to change the type of the data, for example, this data type is currently that we are having is a string. So if you want to change the string type to a date or a boolean or a geographic role or date time or number, so you can do it from here as well. Okay, so now once we are now familiar with the Tableau interface, so this was the launch page, the data source page. So this page gets activated once you connect the data. Okay, so now when you come to the other things, now you can see three different options over here. So there's something called as new worksheet, then there's something called as a new dashboard, and there's something called as a new story. So let me tell you the difference between these three things. Whenever we talk about sheets, a sheet is used to create any visualization. Let's say you wanted to create a bar chart or a pie chart or a line chart. So that you would be doing it on a sheet. So a dashboard is a collection of multiple sheets. So what happens, let's say if you have created 4 charts in 4 different sheets and you want to show these charts all together on a dashboard. So for that, what you would be doing is you'll be bringing these sheets onto the dashboard. And then finally, we have a story, and the story is basically a collection of different dashboards. Okay, so sheets are basically used for creating individual visualization, and dashboards are used for combining sheets and other objects like images, text, and web pages. Okay, so let's go to the sheet tab and see what all options do we have in the sheet tab. Okay, so once you click on the sheet tab, your workspace would be somewhat like this. Okay, so it again is this complete workspace is divided into multiple parts. We'll be exploring each part, what they are and how do we differentiate between them. Okay, so the first area that we need to focus is this area just below the data area. Over here, you can see that you have your data source name, that is the sample superstore data. The second area that we have over here in the left is the measures and dimensions pane. So what Tableau does, whenever you import any data into Tableau, it identifies the measures in the data set and it identifies the dimensions in the data set automatically and tries to clump them. So Tableau is an intelligent BI tool, as we all know, and it's pretty intelligent as if you compare it with the other tools in the market. So over here you can see it had already clubbed these clubbed the customer name, segment, order ID, and category into dimensions, and measures like profit, discount, sales, and profit ratio, quantity into measures. So this again will be having a much more broader discussion on what are measures, what are dimensions, and how we differentiate between these two in our coming session. So this session is much more of an introduction to the interface and the workspace. So we'll skip this for today's part. What is the difference between a measure and a dimension? So another third area in this application part is the Show Me tab. Okay, so when you click on the Show Me, you can see a list of default visualization that Tableau throws to you. So what you can do is generally, whenever you click on dimension. Let's say if you click on a segment, Tableau activates the charts which it thinks is the best suited on the basis of your selection. So let's say if you have selected a segment and if you select sales, so Tableau shows you the option of all the different charts that are possible using this. So let's say you want to have a bar chart of sales across segments. So what you do when you have selected these two, you just do click on this, and here's your bar chart for the segment. So you can see, okay, if in my consumer segment, this was my total sales. In my corporate segment, this was my total sales. In my home office, this was my total sales. So this show me tab is actually you can just think it as an introduction to into charts and visualization. So on the basis of the selection of the metric that you have, you Tableau gives a list of all the charts possible. So whenever you hover to any chart, you can see it gives you a little information also at the bottom over here. So for example, if you click on a tree map, you see Tableau tells you that, okay, to create a tree map, you'd be needing one or more dimensions that you can see in the bottom. You'll be needing one or more dimension and one or two measures. So Tableau basically guides you when you want to create these type of charts, and keeps on telling you, okay, if you want to create this kind of chart, you want to have these elements in your selection. So this was more this was much about Show Me tab, and each of the individual graphs that you see over here will be covering each of the individual graphs in the coming session. When to use which type of graph, which type of graph is best suited for which type of what visualization. So we'll be covering each and every element that you see in the Show Me tab over here. Okay. The second, the another area that we are interested in this workspace is the row and the column area that you can see, wherein you can place measures and dimensions to get the charts or visualization that you are requiring. Now the other area that we should know about is the marks card. Okay, so this marks card over here helps you to control visualization, encoding the color, size, label, text, tooltip, and shape. So let's see what it does exactly. So in under the marks card, you can see over here you have a plenty of options. What do you want? So over here we have automatic, so we have bars over here. This bars, if you want, you can change them into a shape, a pie, a polygon. So let's say if you select on pie, you get three different circles. You select on line, you get a line chart for all these things. Okay, so from this color tab, what we can do is change the color of the tab. So color of the bar. So let's say you don't want the bar to be blue, you want it to be a different color. You just simply hit select a color and the bar chart changes accordingly. This size, like I said, allows you to control the size of your chart. So increase, you can either increase the size of your chart or you can decrease the size of the chart based upon your requirement. Label allows us to show whether you show the mark labels. Or for example, if you click on this, against every bar you will be getting the sales. So for the first bar, for example, the sale was over a million. So you see the labels to be represented just side by side the bar. Then you have something called as a detail, which will be covering more in the coming session. And then you have something called a tooltip. So just notice one thing. As soon as you hover to any bar, you are able to see the segment and the sales. Again, if you hover, again you are able to see the segment changes to corporate and the sale changes. So this thing that comes when you hover onto any bar is basically the tooltip. You can change the information that you want in the tooltip. For example, if you say you want to know the shipment mode on the tooltip, then you can add it to the tooltip, and then if you hover again, you'll get the shipment mode. So over here we are getting a star on the shipment mode because there are multiple shipment mode, like we saw. If you go and drag in over this, if you want to see the shipment mode and you drag into the rows, you can see that you have multiple shipment mode for the same thing. So since you have multiple shipment mode, so it's giving a star over here. If you had just one shipment mode, you would be seeing the shipment mode again in the tooltip. So this tooltip allows you to control the information that you want to make visible to the people. Another tab that we are interested is the filters tab over here. So this filter tab, what it does, it actually filters the data that you want to see, the context that you want to see. So for example, let's say over here, this sales data we have for all the years. So if we look into the year that we had in our data set, we see that, okay, so we have right from 2014 to 2017, we have the sales data in this record. So this bar chart that we have is the sales for consumer segment in all these 4 years. So what if I want to just see it for 1 year, let's say 2017? In that case, what you would do is generally drag this order date into filter, and once you do that, it gives you a lot of options. Like I said, we'll be covering it again in the next session. So in this, so you click on year, and then what you do, you select 2017. So as soon as you select 2017, these bar number changes. The sales initially, the sale for this consumer segment was more than 1 million, and now you see it's around 331,000, just because of the reason that it's for 2000, the sales for 2017. So any filter that you want to apply in your visualization, we can basically do from the filters tab. Okay, let me remove the filter. Yeah. So the next thing that we are generally interested is in the pages shelf. So this is the area that is used very less by people. The reason being that this thing is used only when we are interested in having an animation. So if you want to animate your chart, if you want to show, let's say, okay, I want to show from a particular year to a last year, how my sales have been progressing. So instead of a static chart, I want the chart to be animated. So for that reason, you use the pages shelf. So this is used very less by people. Okay. Now this was the main things that we needed to cover when we look in the sheets. Okay. And then again, when you see over here, when you see down, you see that it gives you a general information, again, summary kind of a thing. So it tells you, okay, in this visualization that you are seeing over here, you have 3 marks. 3 marks essentially the consumer, corporate, and home office. You have one row by 3 columns, that is sales by 3 columns, and the total sum of sales is 2,297,000. So this was all about the sheet tab that you have. Now coming to the dashboard tab, let's see what all options we have on the dashboard tab. Okay. So this is the dashboard tab that you're seeing. So in this dashboard tab, like we described, you can bring on different sheets. Like for example, we created just two sheets over here. So you can actually bring these two onto the dashboard, and you can arrange the reports that you're having into different areas to build a beautiful dashboard. Okay, so once we look into the dashboard area, the area of concern is the area in the left. So this area would contain all the worksheets that you have created, all the individual visualizations that you have created. And from here, what you can do is actually drag and drop these things into the canvas so that you create a complete dashboard with multiple sheets in it. The second thing is you have something called as dashboard objects. When you talk about dashboard objects, you have containers. Those are horizontal and vertical containers. Containers will again be having a altogether a different session, because containers is a big topic, and then it's very much required. Containers are basically used to place your sheets. So instead of placing them freely into the entire dashboard, you use a container. You want to align the sheets vertically or horizontally. So for that, you will generally use a container. Many a time it happens that okay, you want to insert a text box also. So if you say I want to insert a text box, you click on text box, drag it over here, and let's say you want to name it sales across segments. Click on OK. So you'll see you have a text box on. So now this, what you can do is you can edit it actually and then make it a bit beautiful. So it's something like that, yeah. Beautify it, and then you can simply, that's a text object that you have. If you want to insert any image in your dashboard, you do it through an image. If you want to link your dashboard to some page, we do through web page, and then you have something called as a blank object. Again, containers that you see are divided into tiled and floating. Like I said, we'll be discussing what is this tiled and what is this floating once we go into the object session. Okay. The other area that we would be interested in is the size. From here, what you can do is control the size of your dashboard. So by here you have three options. You have fixed size, automatic, and then you arrange. And then you can actually increase or decrease the width of the dashboard that you're having to suit your need from this area. Okay. So again, yeah. So this is much more of what you see in the dashboard. So final thing that would be talking in this Tableau interface is the toolbar. We missed the toolbar thing where we should have covered it in this overview only, but I decided to cover the toolbar separately once I show what actually dashboards are. Okay, so over here at the top of this application, you can see all these different icons. So all these different icons together come into the toolbar. So this toolbar actually includes all important functions such as undo and redo. So in Tableau, what it does, you can always go back and come to the thing that you have already done. So for example, you have created this chart, and if you want to go back and see how you moved into the application, simply keep on clicking this button, and it will take you through all the steps that you have done already. So in case sometimes it happens with me also that I work on a chart and then I do something messy in the chart and the chart goes haywire. So just to revert back, what you need to do is just click this undo button and the chart will revert to the position it was. Over here, you also have different options you can swap the rows and column. You click on over here, you can swap the rows and column. You can sort your data in ascending or a descending order. Then you can connect to data. Then you have an option to show mark labels. So if you click on this, you can see the mark labels above each and every bar. Then you have an option, how do you want to view it. You want to view it the entire width or the entire height or just the entire view. So different options over here in the toolbar. So this toolbar also connects the option to connect to data. So if you want to connect it to a different data source, what you do is click on this Tableau icon, and then again it will take you the application launch page wherein you can add different data source to your application. So to go back, what you do is again simply click on this icon. So you come back to this point. So guys, this is what the Tableau interface actually looks like, and I'm sure you would have seen how easy it is to use Tableau. The drag and drop feature in Tableau actually makes it a very versatile tool and a very handy tool for all the people who want to do BI and analytics. So the final thing that we would be covering today would be, okay, so what are the file types in Tableau? So now I understood what a Tableau application looks like. Now I understood what is a sheet, what is a dashboard, how do I connect to data, and all those stuff. So the next thing that I would be interested in knowing is what are the different file types in Tableau. Okay, so there are basically 5-6 file types in Tableau, and we'll be covering them one by one. So the first is a Tableau workbook. Okay, so let me go to a blank sheet over here. So yeah, so the first is Tableau workbook file. So any file that you see with the extension of TWB is a Tableau workbook file. So a Tableau workbook is a default type of file that is for every Tableau users. The workbook is formatted and is actually an XML and holds all the content on the each of the worksheet and dashboard created within the original workbook. Okay, so the next type of file that Tableau supports is Tableau packaged workbook. Okay, so you'll see the extension for this kind of file would be a TWBX file. Okay, so a Tableau packaged workbook basically contains the underlying extracted data also. So what happens whenever you save a file in Tableau? So when you save the file as a Tableau packaged workbook, it saves the extract of the file along with the data also. So what it does, let's say if you have created right now, you had connected the sample superstore data to Tableau application. So if you save the application as a Tableau packaged workbook, it would create an extract of the data that it was using, the Excel file, and then along it would create a zip folder within itself, and then it would create a Tableau packaged workbook with all packaged into that folder. The third file Tableau supports is Tableau data source. So a Tableau data, so the extension data source. Yeah. So any file with the extension .tds represents a Tableau data source file. So a TDS file contains the information required to connect to the data source as well as to other custom and calculated field. So this file is typically used. So this file is a useful file type, and whenever you create any custom fields in Tableau, and all the custom fields get into this file. Similarly, you have something called as a Tableau package data source that we don't use much. Data source. So any file with the extension .tdsx is a Tableau package data source. Then you have something called as the Tableau data extract files. Tableau data extract files, which goes by the extension TDE. And finally, you have something called as the Tableau bookmark file that goes by the extension .tbm. Okay, so these are the main file types in Tableau that we generally encounter. Yeah. So there are another two different type of file types also, that are Tableau preferences and Tableau map source, which are very rarely used. We generally would be concerned with the Tableau workbook file and Tableau packaged workbook file. So these are the two files that we would be seeing the most, and the Tableau data extract. So Tableau data extract that you see, the fifth one in the list, is basically the file, is the extract file that is created from the data set. Okay, so yeah, so guys, this was for all for today's session. Now, I would appreciate if any one of you have any questions regarding this. So we can devote some time to QA as well. We can devote the next 15-20 minutes to QA, and then yes, we can move ahead with that also. So we see Sunita has a question. Yeah. Hello, Sunita. So you can ask your question on the chat, and I'll try to respond it. Okay, so Kalpana asked a question initially that she actually missed the initial part. Is Tableau a licensed tool or open source? So answer to Kalpana's question, Kalpana, we do have a licensed version for Tableau as well, and you have an open source also. So initially, when I was showing the application that I'm showing you right now is a licensed version. So you see over here in how to differentiate a licensed version. In a licensed version, you have more number of options. Like if you want to connect it to a server, you have all these server options that you can connect. And in a licensed version, you can actually save the file onto your local system. So this thing that you're seeing is a licensed version, but the Tableau also comes with a public version. That's an open source version that's absolutely free of cost. So you won't be able to see all these connectors over there, but the basic things like connecting to an Excel file and doing normal things in Tableau that people do, like creating charts and all those stuff, you can do them on a Tableau public also. Okay, so there's a question from Paramesh. How much storage is needed on local machine for Tableau? So generally, like if you install Tableau, the latest version of Tableau, that is Tableau 10.5. So, and if you install the licensed version, it would be taking around a GB space of your system. Okay, so yeah, Sunita had a question. What are the prerequisites to learn Tableau? So yeah, so Sunita, to answer your question, there is absolutely no prerequisite to learn Tableau. So Tableau, as you see, is a visualization tool and is an intelligent tool for that enables visualization through drag and drop feature. So, and the best part with the Tableau is that it can be used in any domain, because when you talk about data, you have data in every domain, either it's a retail domain or a hospital sector or anything, you have data over there, and reporting is required everywhere. So you can use it with everything. Yeah, so Kalpana has another question. Uh, which version will be used in the training? So Kalpana, for training, will be using the latest version, the latest Tableau public version that's available. That's 10.5. So 10.5 is the latest version of Tableau that's available in the market, and we'll be using that version for our training as well. Okay, so Sunita has another question. What industry would be using Tableau? Okay, so I think Sunita missed our first session that we had. In case you missed, Sunita, you can definitely go back and check out the recording of the first session. So it was more of a session in which we discussed uh, who are the people who are using Tableau, what domains are using Tableau. So just to answer your question, we have every domain. You have the retail sector, you have the pharmacy sector, you have the banking sector. Every domain that has data is actually using Tableau. Okay, so there's another question from Neeta. So, Neeta, I'm not Neeta. I'm not able to get your question completely. So could you type in the question again? So there's a question from Vasanti. I'm sorry if I pronounce the name wrong. When is the actual training starting? Okay, so the actual training starting, I guess it's starting on 27th of March, but then again, you can go on our website, iTeLearn, and then you can actually see. And also, our sales team would have a follow-up with you all for the training session. So the actual training is will be much more of a fun, wherein we will be using all type of functions that Tableau support. You'll be seeing the different type of charts that you are creating. How do you convey information and insights to the people? So it would be fun, the training. Yeah. Okay, so there's another question from Vasanti. Do you provide us any live hands-on project to practice? Yes, Vasanti, we do. We will be actually. So that is the way of teaching. Whenever we teach anything through a portal, what we do, along with the teaching that we are imparting, we engage students with a live training, hands-on project and practice. So along with the sessions that you will be having, we'll also have a hands-on project, and or adding to that, we would be also having a mock-up test towards the end of the session. So what Tableau does, it actually, there's something called as Tableau certification. So with this course, we'll be also actually preparing you for the Tableau certification as well, so that you can pick up the Tableau certification exam, and if you want, you can have a Tableau certified certificate. So we'll be training you for that as well through mock-up tests along with the hands-on projects. Okay, so he has another question. How much is certification useful in securing a job? To be very frank, Vasanti, certification is not at all required if you want to land up with a job in Tableau. Certification is not required. But then saying that, if you have a certification, you definitely have an edge over other people who know Tableau, because a certification certifies that, okay, this person knows Tableau. But like I said, it's not at all required that to get a job, you need to be Tableau certified. Okay, so there's another question from Neeta. What kind of job title we should be looking while applying? Yeah. Okay, so there are multiple titles, Neeta, over here. So so there are three things when you talk about the role Tableau offers. Tableau offers us multiple roles. Multiple roles as in there's something called as a developer. So you can be a Tableau developer, wherein you just get the requirements and then you develop dashboards and report. Then another job title that you can be applying for is a business analyst or a data consultant profile. So Tableau actually gives you a lot of options for the things to choose. So you can either be a data consultant, you can either apply as a business analyst, or you can apply as a Tableau developer, wherein we will be developing only Tableau dashboards. Kalpana asks a question. Data analyst is also a role that we can definitely, all these things, data analyst, BA analyst, then developer, Tableau developer, all these come into a super set of BI, business intelligence. Data analyst is much more wherein you require some knowledge of coding skills that are like R, SQL, and all those stuff. So, but then using Tableau also you can do those things, and you can definitely apply for a data analyst profile as well. Okay, Vasanti had a question. What is the fee for Tableau certification? So Vasanti, Tableau certification is at different levels. So there's something called as associate certification. There's something called as server certification. The associate certification comes for around $250 or $300 odd dollars, and another certification above that comes for around $600 or $700. I'm not pretty sure about the prices, but these it is somewhat in this range. Okay, so Vasanti has another question. Will you be covering SQL as well? So Vasanti, this course is much more dedicated to Tableau, so we will be covering only Tableau. For SQL, we do have another course as well, and we are planning to launch a couple of more courses that would cover SQL, R programming, and all those stuff in future. Okay, so I think this is it. So, guys,
Rahul,
yeah,
can you hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you, Karthik.
Hi, Rahul. Great session. It's a very interesting tool, and I'm very glad that we are introducing it now through iTeLearn, because apart from looking at those specific roles that you mentioned, like business intelligence, data scientist, data visualization, data analyst, and so on, Tableau as a general principle of reporting tool, dashboard tool, can be applied to any segment within the IT industry, not
Exactly.
just the domain, but within the technology. So you could be a developer and being used in Tableau, a business analyst, a project manager, a test engineer, a database architect. You could still be using Tableau is what I look at. And Rahul, also like we planned and thought earlier, um, the one of the essence of the way we teach at iTeLearn is how can we do it in a real-time project implementation environment.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, yeah. And I think if we get to expose them to maybe a couple of mini projects and one large project as we teach, right? Like you're doing today in day one, a little bit, but more of a project which is longer. It lasts like 7 to 8 hours of implementation at least.
Correct.
That would really give great potential for learning. And hence, as part of that, what we wanted to really focus from iTeLearn's perspective is uh, build Tableau reporting more for our NEOT tool and a simple defect management and defect reporting. How does that happen? And that's one thing that we've been waiting for long. So I would like to discuss with you one-on-one on how we could take this forward, and also at the same time ensure that our students are able to grasp all this large information. Now, one addition, additional recommendation that I have for the students is these tools are a lot about hands-on practice, team. If you stop using these tools, maybe a couple of weeks, you'll kind of edge out in knowing where the features are, what you can do, and so on. So while Rahul, with his expertise and background, is showing us how we go through here and there, and you try and replicate the same at your end during practice, you will find a lot of differences, a lot of challenges. The only suggestion is whenever you see a challenge or an issue, kind of embrace it and look at it as an opportunity to explore more and learn. While we guide you, you will learn a lot while you're practicing at your end. So an hour's lecture is about an hour and a half additional practice, and you are looking at a lot of research around that time. So keep practicing in parallel, team. That is very important. Today
Yeah.
seems okay. Once we get to day 4, day 5, we're moving deeper into where is it that Tableau differentiates from other tools, like even simple Microsoft Excel, and why it's become popular, where you can build a career. So you'll have to catch up at that time. So stay in line, keep practicing, keep exploring, be very involved, give you 100% to it. Amazing new area. You don't have to definitely just be a data scientist or business intelligence engineer. You could apply Tableau skill and use that anywhere across your IT career, any field. And that's exactly what I'm seeing. It's absolutely visualization. Visualization comes everywhere. In fact, to such an extent that you'll see a lot of web applications will start their web page with visualizations in future, where it's easy for people to navigate quickly, get a lot more qualitative and quantitative information. This is beautiful. I really like this tool.
Yeah, so everyone out there in the audience, so this is the link where you can download Tableau Public. So you go to Google and just type in download Tableau Public latest version, and it will direct you to this link. You click on this, and then you can install the Tableau Public application in a machine. And as we go on the session further, you can have a hands-on practice at your end as well.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Take care.
everyone.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.